All right. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here today. It's kind of a cloudy day today, and it's a bit rainy, but I hope that everybody had a great weekend, whether you celebrated Easter or not. And I hope you had a wonderful weekend. The sun was a little bit out, it was a little bit rainy, but as they say, April showers bring May flowers. So at least it's not April snow like we've had in the past. So certainly I've been through that before, and it's not fun. So with that, I am just going to set up. There we go, set up my computer. Again, I look at my laptop in case you have any questions there on Facebook. And good morning. First and foremost, have to mourn the passing of the Pope. Uh, I'm not Catholic. I actually grew up Lutheran, but many people are Catholic, and those that weren't Catholic appreciated some of the work that the Pope did, not only for the community but also for his leadership overall. If you don't know, he actually died at 7:35 in the morning, Roman time. So 7:35 Monday morning, so the day after Easter, he was 88. So the bells tolled in church towers across Rome after the announcement. It was read out by Cardinal Kevin Farrell, and definitely from the chapel of the Domus Santa Marta where Francis lived. So at 7:35 in the morning Monday, he had suffered from pneumonia since February 14th, double pneumonia actually, and was hospitalized for 38 days. Believe it or not, his part of his right lung was removed in the late 1950s after a bout of pneumonia, and he constantly suffered from chronic lung disease. He actually emerged on Easter Sunday, his last public appearance, a day before his death, and blessed thousands of people in St. Peter's Square, drawing wild cheers and applause. So then what happens next? A week-long process of allowing the faithful to pay their final respects, first for Vatican officials in the Santa Marta Chapel, and then in St. Peter's for the general public, followed by a funeral and a conclave to elect the new pope. Now, from his election on March 13, 2013, the Argentine-born George Mario Bergoglio signaled a different kind of policy, embracing refugees and the downtrodden, especially following the troubled tenure of Pope Benedict, who surprisingly resigned. He was elected on a mandate of reform for the Vatican bureaucracy and its finances, but went further without really changing its core doctrine. Asked about a purportedly gay priest, he famously responded, "Who am I to judge?" He changed positions on the death penalty, declaring it inadmissible in all circumstances, and modified its stand on nuclear weapons by saying their possession was immoral. He approved an agreement with China on bishop nominations that had vexed the Vatican for decades and charted new relations in the Muslim world by visiting the Arab Peninsula and Iraq. His change came as revolutionary because it emphasizes the church should be a refuge for those in society's fringes, the migrants, the poor, the prisoners, and the outcasts. Believe it or not, Pope Francis lived in the Vatican Hotel rather than the Apostolic Palace. He wore his old orthodox shoes rather than traditional red loafers and used compact cars. He was the first Latin American and Jesuit Pope. And if that wasn't enough, he was the first to name himself after St. Francis of Assisi, the 13th century friar known for personal simplicity, his message of peace and care for society's outcast, and nature. His first trip as Pope to the Italian island of Lampedusa, epicenter of Europe's migration crisis, and he consistently visited countries where Christians were persecuted. And He was elected after Pope Benedict's stunning decision to resign and retire, the first in 600 years. And so that created a little bit of an unprecedented reality of two popes on Vatican grounds. But Francis embraced Benedict as the elder statesman and advisor until he died in December 31st, 2022. So overall, he really did a little bit to change the church. He did not pursue the anti-abortion agenda of Benedict or St. John Paul II, though he starkly likened it to hiring a hitman to resolve a problem. He reversed Benedict's signature legacy by reimposing restrictions on celebrating the Latin Mass. He said he was healing divisions, but some folks blasted the move as an attack on them. He shifted the balance of power from doctrinaire church leaders to more pastoral ones. Appointments reflected in choosing cardinals who will elect his successor. He also, worked on the financial line, limiting compensation and the ability to receive gifts, eliminating obstacles to persecuting cardinals criminally, authorized a police raid of Vatican offices that led to a criminal trial into the botched London real estate venture. Economic justice was important to Francis, who said he wanted a poor church that is for the poor. Francis criticized trickle-down economics in his first major teaching document, saying, "The powerful feed upon the powerless without regard for ethics, the environment, or even God." He elaborated on that in the Ecological Encyclical, which denounced the structural perverse system that exploited the poor and risked turning Earth into an immense pile of filth. That was his quote. And then he was born in Buenos Aires. George Mario Bergoglio was the eldest of 5 children of Italian immigrants. He credited his grandmother Rosa for teaching him how to pray. He said he decided onto priesthood at 17, entering the diocesan seminary 4 years later. In 1958, he switched to the Jesuit order, attracted by a missionary tradition and militancy. He was named head of the Jesuits in Argentina in 1973 at the age of 36. His tenure coincided with the start of Argentina's 1976 to 1983 dictatorship and dirty war, where the military waged a brutal campaign against left-wing guerrillas and other regime opponents. Like many, he didn't publicly confront the junta, and he was accused of effectively allowing 2 slum priests to be kidnapped and tortured by not publicly endorsing their work. Only in 2010, an authorized biography, did he recount how he persuaded the family priest of dictator George Videla to call in sick so that he could say mass on the Junta's leader's home and successfully appeal for their mercy. So with that, we just give condolences and all those who will mourn Pope Francis, the first Latin American pontiff who ministered with a humble eye, and he passed away at age 88. So we will certainly honor him and his legacy with that. Then turning on a little bit of a lighter note, for lack of a better word, we're going to talk a little bit about the mug of the day. So what I have today is my NIU mug. Why do I have my NIU mug today? NIU, my alma mater, right? Not only that, but my daughter's going to NIU as well. So certainly wonderful to see. But so my mug, NIU mug, is that NIU just received silver designation as a military-friendly school. And they are working towards making sure that NIU is the place for military veterans. So the military-friendly 2025-2026 school silver designation has been named not only military-friendly school silver designation, and has been named a spouse-friendly school. So the honors are due to NIU's efforts in creating meaningful education paths for the military community in categories including student support and retention, graduation and career outcomes, financial aid and loan repayment, culture and commitment, admissions and orientation, and academic policies and compliance. Jory O'Brien is the Director of Military Veterans and Off-Campus Student Services at NIU, and they're quoted as saying that we are proud to receive this designation. It's a privilege to be able to provide service and support for our students and their families as we look forward to continuing these efforts to ensure their success in the classroom and beyond. So NIU's Office of Military and Veteran Services supports all veterans, active duty, reservists, Guard members, and their families. The office supports NIU student success initiatives by offering coaching appointments with student benefits counselors, and the counselors are current military-connected students who provide support via one-on-one conversations. So they support more than the 600 military-affiliated students, and the office has built relationships with NIU campus partners, including the College of Business, Office of Online Learning, University Libraries, ROTC, and NIU Athletics. So the NIU Student Veterans Association is growing with nearly 24 students working to gain memberships and create networking events and support groups of incoming students. NIU also hosts a military-affiliated student graduation celebration where students receive a red, white, and blue cord and an NIU challenge cord to congratulate them for completing their degrees. Now, they didn't have that when I was in, but I'm so glad that they've started to really recognize our military individuals on campus. And certainly Military Friendly is committed to transparency and providing consistent data-driven standards in our designated process. So Military Friendly is a ranking structure, and institutions earning the Military Friendly School designation are evaluated using both public data sources and responses from a proprietary survey. 1,800 schools participated in the 2025-2026 survey, with 830 earning special awards for going above the standard. The annual date-driven assessment is offered at no cost to more than 8,800 institutions nationwide. So it's a competitive atmosphere that encourages institutions to evolve and invest in their programs consistently. Schools who achieve the award designation show true commitment in their efforts and exceeding that standard. So congratulations to NIU. In fact, one of the pieces of legislation that we passed, I want to say last session or the session before, was to allow reservists and National Guardsmen to make up their work when they were called to duty. So certainly we can give them some kudos because they had a military, just a military question and answer and input session that I was able to attend. And they told me that when they got called up for duty to do their service, that some students were told that they would have to withdraw and take the class again because the teacher would not accommodate their service in the military or their duty and their training being called up as a reservist. So with that, I will again just do a little bit of so congratulations, NIU. So certainly wonderful to see our institutions, and hopefully more institutions of higher learning will embrace NIU. Another NIU tidbit that I'm working on is a Husky bus from Aurora to Northern Illinois University. Northern Illinois University is the only university that's not on a public transit line. It's not on a train line. And allowing for a public transportation alternative to go to NIU is something that is relatively inexpensive and would help so many students. So working on that this year to hope get a Husky bus line from the downtown Aurora Transit Station to NIU 3 times a day for students. There is a Husky bus line in Elburn, up a little bit north of here. So hopefully we can provide a second one for the students around this area. So working hard with that. Go NIU. So happy for that. So who is joining us this morning? Ellen, good morning. And good morning, Dan, fellow Husky. So really happy to have you joining us. Sally put something in the chat. Can you provide your tribute to the post in written form, learning more about the guy? And then Roger said, good morning. very informative session. Actually, the article on the Pope was just the AP article that I read this morning. So you can get all the information on the Pope by, it's going to be in the news today, and there's going to be a lot of articles written about him. So certainly an interesting individual, and you know, like you said, walked in his own shoes. Didn't buy any new ones. So certainly he was very, very humble. And then with that, if you are Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox Church and Catholic churches of the visiting rite marks Bright Monday. I haven't heard of it, but Bright Monday, a continuation of Easter joy following Sunday's resurrection celebration. So certainly that is an interesting tidbit following up the Pope. One of the fun things, and I had an old. I was on Facebook and I saw somebody that said that they had broken their old 2001 Aurora snow globe. They had a wonderful snow globe. It had a train going around the base and it had skyline in it. I had one myself and I dug it out because it has been broken. I gotta tell you, for maybe I actually think it got broken right before I got elected state rep. So we're going back 13 years that it was broken, and it was because I moved offices from being an alderman, where I was in that office, to being a state rep, and the snow globe broke in the process. But I didn't want to get rid of it because it was such a wonderful memento. Well, I found online Snow Globe Central. So keeping my fingers crossed, I'll keep you updated on how they repaired my snow globe. So if you have that snow globe, I will let you know. I boxed it up, mailed it off yesterday, or not yesterday, Saturday, to Snow Globe Central in Colorado, where they make custom snow globes and apparently they repair them. So I'll let you know how that goes. I'm interested to see. I've been holding on to it a long time, and look at that. Going to be able to repair it, and hopefully it'll come back in all its glory. I'll definitely show you. This week, though, I do want to point out, it's National Work Zone Awareness Week, but honestly, we need to be aware every single week. But from April 21st through the 25th, each spring, because my daddy would always say there's two seasons in Illinois, there's winter and construction. So it is springtime and we are going to start our construction season if it hasn't started already. So National Work Zone Awareness Week reminds us of the importance of safety for workers, drivers, and pedestrians when navigating construction and maintenance zones on our roadways. So believe it or not, this was established in 1999. It's a partnership between the Federal Highway Administration, the American Traffic Safety Services Association, to raise awareness of work zone safety. Like I said, it runs from April 21st to the 25th with the theme Respect the Zone so we all go home. It's a simple but powerful reminder that roadway workers deserve to go home safely and at the end of each shift. So do the drivers passing through these zones. We have had some accidents that have taken some lives, and it's tragic. And so we have to be more aware. So certainly, what can we do? Slow down in work zones, stay alert, and do not text behind the wheel or have any other distractions behind the wheel. Observe the posted speed limits and obey flaggers and signs, and remind the importance of roadway safety. Now, I'm also going to say, Scott's Law, to move over. So if they are doing work on the side of the road, change lanes, give them some space. Safer roads. It's just for everybody, workers, drivers alike, to get home safely. So certainly that is something that we all should do. It's not very difficult, but I know people like to be in hurries, and certainly just slow down. So very good, very good. All right, Roger, always good. Roger Trend, always a fan of his. He's a great veteran and a great person overall. See him often these days. Um, Thanks for joining. Earth Day, April 22nd. Believe it or not, that's tomorrow. Today is the 21st. I can't believe that April is almost over. Um, we go back to Springfield this week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Last week was deadline week. But tomorrow's Earth Day, April 22nd. And it's a reminder to take action to preserve our natural resources, reduce pollution, and help leave the world a better place than we found it. We can do local cleanup events. Many of these local cleanup events are organized by schools, park districts, environmental groups. There are recycling programs. You can recycle safe disposal of electronics and chemicals in Kane County and DuPage County. Naperville has one. And then we are going to do our Shred and Recycle Day, working on the date as we speak, so that you can bring electronics and house and dispose of things there. No chemicals though, but working on that. And then look at additional resources through your local libraries and some museums. The Conservation Foundation has a lot of programs on their website. And then what can you do? Consider switching to reusable bags, volunteer at a local conservation group, consider carpooling, and the like. Now, in a continuation of Earth Day, you have Arbor Day, April 26th. So you have Earth Day, and then you have Arbor Day. Celebrate trees and the vital role that they play in our environment. Share information about tree planting programs throughout the city of Aurora and the Morton Arboretum, which often partners with schools and local governments on urban forestry projects. And then you can always plant a tree. There are a lot of upcoming tree planting efforts. And then throughout the year, I know I've gone to several different Earth Day events and several different environmental dream fest in downtown Aurora, and I've gotten trees and I planted them. Unfortunately, I've had some very hungry critters eat the trees that I planted in the past. So make sure that you put chicken wire or something around them, because certainly rabbits and other little things like to munch on young saplings. So just make sure that they're protected. But plant a tree, start a garden, and then teach a friend or child or some of the power of conservation. Bob Dunn's joined us. Hey, Bob, how's it going? And then Workers' Memorial Day, April 28th. And this is a bit solemn. So it pairs with, we have to be careful when we're driving. We have to be careful on the job sites. So the AFL-CIO Workers' Memorial Day honors those who have been injured, sickened, or killed while on the job. The day also marks the anniversary of the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, which set national standards for workplace health and safety, often called OSHA. OSHA's been in the news nationally for quite a bit to try to roll back some of the protections that were put in OSHA. Just so that you know, what is OSHA? OSHA protects workers' rights, especially in high-risk professions, including construction, manufacturing, and public service. That recognizes labor unions and workers in the area who have fought for safer conditions, including, the unions right here and the unions that I worked with when I was at Alderman, AFSCME and IBEW Building Trades. They are committed to workers' safety. And then certainly continuing to look at any legislation on the state level that we can to maintain safe workplaces and supporting frontline and essential workers, our laborers in the trades, and all those individuals that work so hard to keep our economy and keep our roads safe and keep our buildings going up, and just as the foundation of our communities. And so safe workplaces is so important. And even though we have OSHA, individuals still lose their lives on the job. And it's tragic. and we need to do more. So we always need to do more to value safe workplaces. Certainly keep that in mind, and keep that in mind when we're listening on the national level. When you think it's not going to affect me, it's not going to affect me, it really can, because some of the protections that is working hard to keep people safe are really being looked at to be rolled back. And so you have to be very diligent. And we are being diligent on the state level. So whatever the federal level rolls back, the state can maintain in place for our state boundaries so that we have safe, healthy workplaces for everyone, because everybody deserves to come home safely. Again, just like I said before. And then I know this is like quite April 21st is quite the day. April 21st, 1926 was Queen Elizabeth II's birthday. So we remember her. She was the longest reigning monarch in British history. As Queen of the United Kingdom and the Commonwealth, a collection of 53 independent nations, she played a significant role in modernizing the monarchy and engaging with political developments during her reign. So her role was largely ceremonial. So certainly steadfast leadership and commitment to public service through decades of change. So along with her birthday is Chickpea Day. So certainly over the Queen's diplomacy, you can look at the 53 nations, and some of them had deep roots to chickpea-rich cuisines. So have a chickpea meal today if you want to. If it's not your thing, totally understand that as well. Doing well. So let's see. So we had a question. Let's see. House Bill 2827. Elise, let's see, House Bill 2827. So you can go to ilga.gov and look at all the bills that we are looking at. And I can do that right now. 2827. And it's the Homeschool Act bill. So that bill is still in committee and most likely won't be considered this session, but certainly don't know. I know the House sponsor, Tara Costa Howard, has been meeting and working with regards to this bill. Now, I look at bills for their merit, and I know that bills take a lot to come to fruition. So last week we talked about, or the week before, we talked about the homeschool bill, and I asked people to give me your suggestions. And believe it or not, I got some wonderful suggestions that I'm going to pass on to the House sponsor to look at a bill that addresses the core issue. And the core issue is the fact that there are children, and to be quite honest, I personally know somebody that was in that situation who were homeschooled and abused. How do we get to making sure that individuals are not abusing their right to homeschool in order to be able to abuse their children? So again, I would say, as I said last week and the week before, please send me your ideas, your thoughts, your views on how we can solve that core issue. There was a Chicago Tribune article about it, and honestly, individuals has reached out to me. Again, there are individuals I know who were homeschooled and abused. I'm not saying this is the norm. It is certainly not the norm. There are very, very good homeschoolers that I know as well, parents that are very dedicated to their children. However, certainly I've been getting emails from individuals that were unfortunately in this situation. And so again, I encourage folks to give thoughtful input on legislation, any legislation, this legislation as well. Saying oppose or support is one thing. Giving constructive input on why you oppose a bill, understand that, but constructive input on how to get to the core essence of the bill would be ideal. So thanks for asking that question, Elise. I appreciate you putting that in the Facebook chat. So other bills, since we're moving right on to bills, a couple bills that took we were able to pass. I might have talked about this a little bit last week, but and some bills that we're still working. Now, most of the time at the end of the session, there's a bill that's called the Medicaid Omnibus Bill. So it's a bunch of small bills that go into a big bill, and the big bill is called the Omnibus Bill. I'm hoping that House Bill 1881 is one of these. So there is an overlooked dental health need for our Illinois veterans. And so what this is a pilot program, a 5-year pilot program, specifically aimed at helping low-income veterans access the dental care they deserve. So what we're looking at is individuals that kind of fall through the cracks. They make too much money to apply for certain services, and not enough to get dental care. The VA will remove a tooth if it is has a cavity in it. Excuse me, but they will not put a tooth in its place. So we sometimes have veterans that are reduced to eating oatmeal because of their poor dental health. So in January, we did look at not in January of this year, last year, we did put in a small appropriation for dental care for the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, they were able to use this money to coordinate care with community dentists who would serve the veterans in the nursing homes, the veteran homes that we already occupy. So, helping them with that. But there are still other veterans out there that aren't in our veterans home that need help with their dental care. And so we're trying to work with that. So hopefully that would be in a bigger bill. And then what we were looking at with regards to a technical change, as I've said, we have to do technical changes. A small subset of individuals in the self-managed plan for the state university's retirement plan are being forced to liquidate 50% of their portfolio in order to receive the community insurance program that they pay into, which is retiree insurance that they pay into. So certainly had a bill to eliminate this mandate, and it is hopefully flagged to go into a comprehensive pension bill. Along with looking at pension credit, in this case for Cook County, but allowing individuals to buy credit into their pension. For other situations, individuals are allowed to buy up to 5 years of service credit, but for individuals in the military, they're only allowed to buy 2. And most, most contracts for military service, mine was 4, my son is 6, but at least allowing them to buy up to 4 years of pension credit would be recommended. So this bill, again, there's talks of there being a bigger pension bill. We're seeing how that happens as well. And then still continuing to look, this bill did not advance, but bills take quite a while. Looking at is there and all the documents that you sign to put in to buy a house. One of them says source of income. So instead of saying if you're approved for the mortgage or not, you have to list what you're approved for. Is it a conventional loan? Is it a VA loan? Is it a cash loan? Is it a cash offer? So what I've been heard from individuals in the real estate community is that some sellers see a VA home loan checked off on the mortgage documentation and they don't want to, they believe it's going to be more hassle, and they simply don't want to accept that offer and have accepted lower offers of conventional mortgages. So looking to change that. It's did not advance because of the because it just needs more work. And then there was an article in the newspaper, House Bill 2707, was a story about a child who had a temporary disability placard from the Secretary of State, but was denied being able to park in the handicap spots on the high school campus because they lost the lottery for parking in general. So they were certainly an issue with that. Now, we promoted it, and unfortunately, with the speaker's 5 bill limit, and unfortunately, the speaker's staff did not tell me that several of my bills were not going to be able to be called for deadline week. I could have certainly filed this bill. It didn't get called because of the speaker's mandate at the last minute. So hopefully, we'll find a place to put that so that disabled students that are temporarily disabled with a parking placard can park all day in the handicap accessible parking spots. Because certainly it's not an easy thing to get a temporary placard from the Secretary of State, and we should respect that and respect the students who are injured. So that's just what I believe, and it's the right thing to do. Other bills, there was a veteran bill in multi-county assistance commissions. So there are some counties that are small that certainly cannot support a Veterans Assistance Commission on its own, more rural, underserved areas. So now veteran service organizations, there are 2 or more adjacent counties with populations under 60,000 can now enter into agreements to jointly form a commission, and then existing county Veterans Assistance Commissions may form a joint partnership with a neighboring county lacking a commission. So these partnerships is really well needed in our rural areas in Southern Illinois. We also passed out of the House Bill 1586, reinforces Illinois' compliance with federal personnel requirements by mandating that any merit-based hiring standards required by federal law as of January 1st, 2025 remain in place for administering federally funded programs. House Bill 1598, known as the Operating Room Patient Safety Act, sets important minimum education and certification standards that passed out of the House. And then phasing out PFAS, which is known as the forever chemical, House Bill 2409, phasing out the PFAS chemicals that are in our personal protective equipment for our firefighters, in firefighter gear that protects it. So certainly there needs to be written disclosure when the equipment contains PFAS and why the chemicals were added. Certainly they've been linked to cancer and other health issues. We had an issue last year, if you recall. We passed 4 resolutions to name highways after POW MIAs, individuals that didn't make it home, missing in action, prisoners of war from the Vietnam and the Korean War. And I think, the Rolling Thunder for bringing it to my attention. We passed it unanimously out of the House because the House supports POW MIAs. Did not get called in the Senate because apparently the Senate has arbitrary rules against that kind of thing. So House Bill 1724 amends the Highway Code that states if right now both chambers have to pass the resolution for the Illinois Department of Transportation to act. This bill changes that requirement, allowing IDOT to move forward with naming a highway if just one chamber passes the resolution. Now we'll see if this bill gets out of the Senate. It is a dig at the Senate for not honoring our POW MIA veterans. So certainly that is an issue. The state treasurer, 1437, creates a nonprofit investment pool and a secure electronic payment processing program. So these are going to help smaller nonprofits manage and grow their resources more effectively, particularly those with limited access to traditional financial services. So it includes provisions for surety bonds to protect participants and requires the treasurer to adopt the rules to implement this bill. So certainly this is going to help our nonprofits. And then looking to expand IMRF military service credit to police chiefs. That was another bill as well. Also, the bill that passed, I know last week was deadline week, so I told you, I warned you last week you were going to get an update this week. 1226, updating Illinois driver's license renewal process for seniors passed the House, moving the required road test from 79 to 87. Under current law, drivers aged 79 and 80 must take a road exam upon renewal. Those aged 81 to 86 are tested every 2 years, and 87 plus are tested annually. So the new bill eliminates road tests for drivers between 81 and 86, though vision tests and in-person renewals every 2 years will still be required. It was a bipartisan effort, passed out of the House unanimously. So certainly that's a little update on the bills with regards to the House. Certainly another couple bills, mental health access through public libraries, House Bill 1064. The Community Mental Health Act went through to expand access to mental health services by authorizing public library districts to take an active role in their community's well-being. If a library district is already authorized to levy a tax under the act, it would be required to establish a community mental health board. And so certainly that is some information with regards to all the bills. Elise responded, thank you. All examples of DCFS being involved with homeschool children already has knowledge of the abuse. Well, actually, my friend was not involved with DCFS. I met him in his adulthood. And so you're correct. If DCFS is involved, that is 100% correct. The individual I personally knew fell under the radar of DCFS. DCFS was never called. And some of the things that was shared with me was quite brutal. So yes, if DCFS is involved and they have knowledge of the abuse, that's true. Definitely. If you've dropped off research to the office, then I do have that, and I appreciate that. Yes, obviously what you're saying is true, but what I have personally experienced is that teachers that abuse their kid, that they sometimes don't take them to doctors because they don't need to have mandated vaccines because they're not in school. So there is systems in place. You're correct. However, there are systems that are not adhered to. And so certainly looking for not I understand everything that you're saying, but looking for solutions and constructive input. So certainly really good. And again, House Bill 2827 did not move out of committee and most likely will not be considered. So looking just for other ideas. And in Springfield, pretty much every week until the end of sessions. So if you want to stop by the office, I most likely will not be there because I'll be in Springfield most of the time. But you can happily, as you said, drop off information, which I do get. Send an email, which I do get. Of course, information is always important, and written form is so much better because then I can research and certainly look into it. Not looking at all to infringe on homeschoolers, but again, just making sure kids are safe. And again, while I've heard all the discussion with regards to what was posted here on the Facebook, I personally have witnessed the system failing individuals. So, and the systems that are listed here, coaches, doctors, neighbors, failed. The system failed this person that I know. And unfortunately, I think about him all the time. And I wish him the best. It's just such a sad situation. So I understand all that and looking for solutions to the problems I'm well familiar with homeschooling. I'm well familiar with homeschooling and and I've had family members that homeschool. But looking towards suggestions on how we can fix the problem um, is ideal. And that's the system. That's how it works. Individuals, like I said, at NIU brought up a situation with regards to a piece of legislation that they needed, and we were able to pass it. The bill with regards to homeschooling is currently in committee, did not make it past the deadline, did not get an extension. So right now it is still in committee. So from what it looks like right now, it does not seem to be viable. So if individuals want to be constructive, I would suggest not focusing on that bill, but focusing on the issue at hand and how we can strengthen and look to put into, uh, you know, systems or other things that can help with the problem at hand. So I encourage people to not focus just on one bill, but to focus on the situation. And again, I've gotten wonderful emails of input, really thoughtful. One former teacher who now homeschools emailed a very thoughtful input on the subject, not necessarily focusing on the bill, because House Bill 2827 does not seem to be moving, but focusing on looking at how can we look at this issue? And one of the subjects that was in her email was to allow homeschool children to participate in PE, physical activity in gym, and to have like a little an interaction there, which I think would be ideal. And I think that there can be a partnership between homeschools and potentially some of the schools in the area to allow some of the services that the schools provide that a homeschool parent might um, might appreciate being able to coordinate. So there's some ideas, and they're all ideas, and it's a subject that they're working on. And so very again, I'm not, although I am repeating myself, that does tend to happen. I am very well versed on homeschool. I'm very well versed on some of the curriculum. I've had family members and friends that have homeschooled very successfully, very successfully. But I've also personally seen some not success stories. So there is avenue to make the whole experience certainly rewarding. So, and a discussion to take place. That's how legislation works. But with my Springfield schedule, the best thing, even though, would love to meet, and I apologize with that, but I'm going to be in Springfield an awfully lot in the next couple weeks, 6 weeks till the end of May. And that's when the legislative session ends. So certainly emailing and is the best. Have it written down so I can print it out, put it all together, and pass it on to the sponsor of the bill. Now, I'm not the sponsor of the bill. The sponsor of the bill is Representative Chair Costa Howard, but certainly I will bring that information to her and for her to consider. So that's pretty much how the process is in Springfield. But I appreciate all the input that I've been given. And then finally, beginning June 2nd, downtown Naperville was transformed into a whimsical wonderland with the launch of the Downtown Naperville Alliance's Duck Sculpture Hunt. 18 oversized hand-painted duck statues displayed throughout the area, a perfect family outing or scavenger hunt. And then Central Bark comes to Aurora, doggy daycare and more. It's opening its first Aurora location at Fox Valley Center Drive, a daycare, overnight boarding, grooming, and training all under one roof with 9,000 square feet of indoor space and 3,700 square feet of outdoor play yard. So certainly give the dog a whole dog care experience, enrichment, safety, and personalized attention for every pup. And then April again, it's another month. I should have talked about this at the beginning of the segment when we were going through all the April things, but unfortunately, this got it got put to the end. April is Safe Digging Month. Call before you dig. You should call before you dig all the time. If you are planting a tree, which we talked about, installing a fence, digging for any reason, call 811 or visit illinois1call.com. It's free, required by law, helps avoid dangerous accidents involving underground utility lines such as natural gas, water, electric, or internet cable. I have MetroNet, and MetroNet is fiber, so that's buried in the yard. So certainly call before you dig. Call Julie with regards to that. So with that, again, back to Springfield this week. The Senate is off this week, but we are in pretty much every week until the end of May. And so with that, I will just last week I got to speak, and as I told you last Monday, I was heading out to the Entrepreneurial Academy, a program that's been providing pathways to entrepreneurship since 1996. And so they were talking about their veteran entrepreneurial program, and I got to learn a lot, and I got to meet fellow veterans, both in and out of uniform, and certainly small business is the backbone of our community, and everything we need. Everything we should do, try to shop small, shop local, and certainly help out our community. So with that, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. It's a little bit cloudy, gloomy, rainy, windy, but April showers bring May flowers. So I hope you have a great week ahead. Take care, have a good day, and be safe.